For whatever reason, it cut me off. But what I was saying was, through this experience that I've gone through these past 4 or 5 days, love is, it is really showing me just where to save the world, we have to come together. We have to open our hearts. There is no more keeping them closed in fear of being rejected or being abandoned or not being able to trust or anything else. I reached out to somebody today and got triggered really bad. They told me to quit whining. And and that's something that I've experienced my whole life, is always being told to be quiet, to stop whining, to suck it up, to this, to that. As humanity, that's what we've been enslaved in. And that is strictly the ego that we've been enslaved in, to sit there and to do that. It's very seldom I personally reach out. So I reach out to somebody, that's because I've opened myself up to that vulnerability completely. And I have learned on my own journey that the more we open ourselves up to that vulnerability, the more there is great risk of that love of our hearts being rejected, being abandoned, being taken advantage of, whatever way you want to take it. And John Blackwell and Donna Sullivan reached out to me a couple days ago, along with Teresa LaPrey. And they have been checking on me throughout this. For that, I'm grateful. I love you guys more than you know. Thank you. When you can give the gift of time, give the gift of your love. That's how you save humanity. That's how you change the world. We don't do it by going out in public and doing live videos or preaching. We do it by giving the gift of our time and by the gift of our love. The gift of our compassion, the gift of our kindness. We give it by opening our hearts. Not just saying that they're open, but extending that love, extending that grace, extending that mercy, and extending that time. I love you, sweethearts. And so my experience these past 5 days, I have barely been able to get out of bed. And the pain that I have been in, regardless of the antibiotics and the pain pills, has been excruciating. And I lay wide awake in my bed, and I watch 12 angels around me. And I extend out my hands to those angels. And I watch myself lay down my physical vessel, and I leave with the angels. A couple hours later, I'm laying there wide awake. staring out the window because my bed faces my window. And I'm watching the deer across the road in the trees. And the Arcturians show up, and 12 blue sphere beings, or what some of you may know as the blue avians, show up in my room around my bed and escort my spirit, my soul, out of my vessel. And I am laying physically in my bed wide awake, as I am as awake right now talking to you. And I go with 12 blue sphere beings and literally pick up my vessel from the bed, if you will, and hang it like on the back of a door on the ship, if you will. And it was a great time of celebration, of joy. And this is happening simultaneously as I'm wide awake in the physical. A couple hours after that, 12 beings of Venus came and also escorted my spirit from my vessel. And then today, last night and today, I have gone through literally what I would say was a physical death, if you will. And that happened right after this friend of mine I reached out to, who told me to suck it up and I was whining, quit whining and go rest. It triggered me. And after that, I can only describe it as being completely broke open and ripped apart. Now, yesterday, I had quit now, you two. I had experienced, I talk about Mark a lot. Mark was the catalyst that really broke me open, that started me on my spiritual journey that led to the rape and everything else. No, he's not the one who raped me. I wasn't implying that. And that's what I experienced again this afternoon, of that kind of being literally broke open. And I watched yesterday morning, I think it was yesterday morning, that or the day before, I watched literally Mark step into my body. And I literally watched my body being ripped in two. And everything, there's always a hidden message, sweet ones. There's always hidden symbolism. There's always hidden everything. And so I went through also the experience of the same thing happening with the essence of my divine consort, if you will, on the energy side of it, the masculine essence stepping in and being ripped. It's a balance and harmonizing thing. I mean, I get it. There's more to it. But the reason I'm sharing it is it's powerful, these energies, and they're very transforming. And regardless of what the physical world is showing you, it is asking you to close the door on the past, on the memories, on that world of rejection, of abandonment, of hurt. It's asking you to stop loving the ills of society and start extending your heart to it instead. It's asking you to, regardless of what the chaos and turbulence of the physical outside world is presenting, it's asking you to open your hearts, to be vulnerable, to take that risk. Regardless if the world says you can't trust, it's asking you to trust. Regardless if the world says fight, it's asking you to be peace. Regardless if the world is saying they hate you, they reject you, whatever it may be, it's asking you to extend your love. Whatever it's showing you, it's asking you to do the opposite. It's asking you to open your hearts to vulnerability. To not save the world, not go out and save the world, but to save it through your hearts. To give the gift of your presence, of your being. To stop being so busy and so caught up in research and this and that. To take the time to just be present. To share your love, to give the gift of your time. Because it's in this moment right now where your love is the most powerful. Not 10 minutes from now, not an hour from now when you're done researching or watching that video. But right now in this moment. Because it's in this moment where you make the difference. It's in this moment when you can share your love and you can envelop those that need it in that moment. Rather than telling them to suck it up or to quit whining or to let them just be alone in their suffering. It's taking the time to reach out. To give that comforting hand or hug. Or just to be there. Just knowing that somebody's there. Because you're never alone. We're always with you. Our team is always with us. But the physical world will say otherwise. In the physical world is where you put into practice that which you are. Alexandria Rideout says, Linda, I'm going through the hardest time. These energies are very powerful. Letting you know thank you for what you do. You give me hope on some days, especially now. You help me to remember to go within. I love you, sweethearts. Big, big hugs and blessings, Alexandria. And the reason I chose to do this video is to show you that it doesn't matter how awakened we are. It doesn't matter our missions. It doesn't matter this physical world, except in one sense, to be that which we are. You've all remembered, the majority of you that will watch this video have remembered that you are love. It's not for us to go out there and to preach or to share or anything else. For us to be that in action. And whether that's over social media or a messenger chat or a phone call or the grocery store or even right here. It's extending that heart regardless of what the physical presents. It's taking the time out. Instead of saying I'm too busy or quit whining or suck it up or this or that, is taking the time out to say, wait a sec. You know, maybe they need love. Maybe they need somebody just to be there with them. Instead of rejecting them, instead of abandoning them. And that's what it's all about. Because it doesn't matter how awakened, how galactic, how cosmic we are. And I'm very well aware of who and what I am. I don't hide that. But sometimes, and I'm very guilty of this, sometimes we get so wrapped up in our missions that we forget our missions, the true nature of it. We get caught up doing grid work and ley lines and everything else. That we forget the very gift that we've been given. And that's the gift of time. So I encourage you, sweet ones, open your hearts. Stop distrusting the world. Stop being afraid to participate in the world because of its chaos and its turbulence. And allow yourselves to let go of those ingrained beliefs and those ingrained behavior patterns that you've been taught. To suck it up and to quit whining into this and to that. And find your compassion through your open hearts. Find the love in your hearts that will supersede all distrust of its vulnerability of opening yourself up to being hurt, to the risk of it being hurt. Because it's the only ego mind that applies and labels and defines love as hurtful. Because your heart, it only knows love. And as long as we're embodied, incarnated, we've been given the gift of time to share the miracle of all that we are. And we can't do that with closed hearts. We can't do that with being afraid to be vulnerable, to take that risk, to trust when everything tells us to not trust. We can't do that when the world tells us to suck it up. Because that's not the world I want to live in. I don't want to live in an egotistical world that tells you to quit whining because you show your emotions or because you show the vulnerability of needing comfort, of needing someone to sit with you or someone to talk to. Because the world I choose is one of love, one of compassion, and one of kindness. Not one that we've lived in and been enslaved in, and that continues to want to show us time and time again how not to love. So I encourage you, sweet ones. For those of you who reach out, thank you. For those of you who open your hearts to take the risk, to trust in a world that says not to, I thank you. And for those masculine out there that are able to put aside their pride and to open up to the vulnerability of their hearts and actually love and allow yourself to be sensitive and compassionate and empathetic, and to allow yourself to fully embrace that nurturing aspect of the feminine essence within you, I congratulate you. And for all of you, don't be afraid to open your hearts. Because there is no pain that the ego can give it that can outshine the pleasure and the ecstasy of love in all its glory. And that, sweet ones, is your purpose. Is to love with an open heart. Money got you into this world, and yes, the tragedy is always the remedy. Money has become more important than the heart. And although this RV, when it chooses to come out, will help humanity, it won't save humanity if humanity doesn't start getting a heart and getting their humanity back. And that, sweet ones, can only be done on an individual basis. And until you can open your hearts to the vulnerability of all its glory, then there is nothing we can do collectively that will save the world. Have a beautiful night, sweet ones. I love you. Big, big, big hugs and blessings. Bye-bye now.